James, you're welcome to leave or stay, whatever you want to do. Kyle was adamant. I got to stick around for whatever Guru.
I'm so happy I did. Hey, are there more two opposite people in the universe than Guru and James?
No.
Okay.
No, very much or not.
All right, guys. Appreciate you.
Kyle, Matt,
James.
Kyle.
Hey, James.
Candlestick Chronicles. Oh, sorry, James.
Oh, no.
Sorry, James.
Oh,
no. I've been eliminated.
Nanos Wire. Oh, man.
Boy. Oh,
who do you want to see in concert?
What were my choices?
Well, not what Guru was going to see. No, they were having a discussion on 95.7 about Taylor Swift, who's I think she's at Levi's for the next 2 nights. I think she's there tonight and tomorrow. And I think that just sparked up a conversation about what concerts you'd want to see, or maybe someone you haven't seen yet. Because I know you and Mrs. Ham, attorney at law, you guys do a lot of concerts already. Is there someone you haven't seen?
I'm kind of running out of bands that we really want to see. We have Madonna tickets, but that got postponed. Actually, it's funny. We had Gwen Stefani tickets and on like a Friday night, and Lady Gaga tickets on a Saturday night in May of like 2020 when the pandemic hit. Yeah. Whenever the pandemic hit, so we didn't go to Vegas for that. So I would say I'd like to see Gaga. But outside of that, like I've seen a lot of bands. So I don't know. We even at Golden One, I think we're at 11 concerts we've seen at Golden One. So Elton John, Paul McCartney, like we've seen all the big Maroon 5 there. We saw Timberlake. We've seen a lot of bands.
You going to YG?
Maybe if I knew what YG was. It sounds like an internet provider, which I should
How do you feel about
the
new Travis Scott album?
Nope.
All right.
I don't listen to country at all. So like I know that's something that always comes out. People are like, oh, country. Like, no, that ain't happening. I don't even want to shop at the grocery store down the street because all they play is country.
No.
Yeah.
What's that song? Because I've got friends in low places.
Yeah, that's Garth Brooks from like the early 90s.
There's just one famous country record, and Kenny knows it.
One.
What's the other one? These boots are made for kicking, or something like that.
For walking.
For walking.
And that's not country either.
Oh,
yeah. That's classic rock.
I love that you refer to that as the other one. Like now we're up to 2. There's 2 country songs. Fantastic. You listening to Tilo and KC?
Genre's growing every day.
Tilo and KC on KIFM West Sacramento 98.5 FM KRXQ HD2 Sacramento ESPN 1320. Always live on the free Odyssey app as we welcome in our buddy, our 1320 Kings insider and the creator of the Kings Beat, James Ham, here for the final hour of the show today, for the final hour of the week. Not Kings related. By the way, I don't want this to. Did you see Chemezi Metu's tweet? There's only one reason I'm bringing it up.
No.
Chemezi Metu tweeted, and you guys can't see, but Jesse popped for this. Chemezi Metu went to Twitter yesterday and said, y'all gonna stop getting on this app and disrespecting Paul Pierce like he not one of the best to ever do it.
That's right. I woke up this morning. I checked the rundown. It says, oh, Chemezi Metu tweet. You guys see? I was like, what is he talking about? The Kings or something? I go, Paul Pierce. Yeah, that's my guy, Chemezi Metu. Me and Metu, part of the Paul Pierce fan club right there.
Metu tripping.
Jesse want to trade now with Phoenix to get Metu back here. Jesse need a season credential so he can go talk to Metu about Paul Pierce.
Tell me your thoughts on Paul Pierce.
Metu went to Lawndale High School, which isn't far from Inglewood, so maybe that has something to do with it as well.
Paul Pierce does it does get a little silly with Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce's game, he was good.
He was really
like
good.
Paul
He
Pierce
was the truth
really
for
good.
A reason.
Yeah, he was really, really good.
He was the truth for a reason.
I think he named himself though. Like
no, Shaq did that.
Shaq gave it to him.
Yeah, Shaq did that.
And it fit.
Yeah, Shaq called him the truth.
He was hitting big shots after big shots.
Yeah, he's a guy
it's Paul George that names himself. Paul George is the one that gives himself nicknames.
Okay. Yeah, Paul Pierce, like he could only hit shots when people are draped all over him. Like he's one of the best shooters with close range defenders that I've ever seen. And it seems like the closer you got defensively to him, the better he got. He hit everything when you were in his face. So yeah, outside of that, I mean, I think he hasn't held up well post career. I don't think I don't enjoy his commentary, and he looks like he's on the Antoine Walker path to success. So and that's not a great path to be on.
He's living his life. Jeannie Buss said LeBron James would have his Lakers jersey retired.
I think that's a little aggressive.
But wouldn't say which one.
You're going to do like Kobe.
All of them.
You can't. That needs to be for Kobe only. You like LeBron, because he was there 20 years and he played like 10 years in one and 10 years in the other. LeBron's going to wind up being there for what? At best 6?
He shouldn't get his jersey retired.
I disagree with that.
Why would he get his jersey retired?
Well, she said,
like you said, he played there 6 years.
She said because he's going to the Hall of Fame and he's won a title here. Like he's absolutely. She was definitive. And when she was asked like which one, she was like, "Well, we'll talk about that later."
Yeah, I disagree with Jenny there.
I'm okay with it.
He doesn't need
his legacy has nothing to do with his time with the Lakers. So, like, his legacy was cemented so long before he ever got to the Lakers.
Yeah, he did win a title with them, though. He became the all-time scoring leader with the Los Angeles Lakers. You can put quote. He got a ring, got a trophy, got a playoff bonus.
Did he get a parade?
Yeah, him and the Dodgers, I think, were planning one together. I mean, to his defense, though, we couldn't go outside. But
well, look, it don't bother me one way or
parade.
another. I just wouldn't have. It's just not enough time spent.
It's fine with me. He just can't have 2. That's where I draw the line. You can't retire 23 and 6. Not in LA.
Well, you start running out of numbers.
True.
I mean, for a franchise like that, yeah.
But keep that to Kobe.
The Celtics got ridiculous though. Sorry, Jesse. Isn't Cornbread Maxwell's number retired?
At least they're retiring their own players' numbers though. Like Lakers claiming another star as their own once again.
Why is Casey Jones number retired?
I don't know. The Celtics do overdo it though.
Is Shaq's jersey retired in LA?
Yeah.
How long was he there?
Oh, he was there.
I want to say like 6 years.
Was he?
I don't think so.
It was like 9 years.
Okay.
95.
Did win 3?
Or no, excuse me, 96 to 2004, maybe 2005.
Let's see. He was 1996, 97 through 2003, 2004.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
3 titles, MVP. I mean, that's retirement worthy.
Okay.
Yeah.
No disrespect to LeBron James,
No, it's
maybe the
just
greatest ever play.
Felt a little bit.
But that's multiple titles.
Okay. Well, I mean, LeBron might win another one.
He won't.
I don't think so either, but I don't think so either.
He going to the Kings?
He might.
That's why he won another one.
What? Hey, play your last game where you played your first.
There you go.
I'm with it. Which he might do, just in a Cavs uniform. he'll go play one last season with the Cavs, and if the NBA was smart, they'd schedule game 82 at the Golden One Center. James, we were talking earlier about, what Sacramento did last year was pretty incredible. I don't know that we're going to see something quite like that, but every year there's a team that kind of ascends in a way that a lot of people, weren't prepared for. Can you see a team, and again, it doesn't have to be as drastic of a jump as the Kings made this year, but can you see a team kind of crawling out of the bottom 5 or so and, catapulting their way all the way up into the potentially top 6 or maybe the top part of the play-in?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know. Like and we talk about New Orleans all the time that they're just, one healthy season of Zion away from being something. But I think the other teams that you really have to look out for are the Oklahoma City Thunder and probably the Utah Jazz. Like the rebuild in Utah has happened really quickly. I don't know that they're going to be great, but I certainly like some of what they're doing. I like their draft picks. I like, the addition of John Collins. I think that team overall has some talent, and we'll have to see how it all works out together. But that should be a team on the rise, whether it's this year or it's like in the not too distant future.
Let me ask you a question about the Western Conference real quick. So last year, I think I just had it up here. The worst record in the Western Conference was a tie between the Rockets and the Spurs with 22 wins. They went 22-60. Do you think the Western Conference has any teams with 22 or fewer wins next year?
I mean, if anyone, it's going to be the Spurs. Like the Spurs would like to run it back and do that again. Maybe Victor Wembanyama helps some a little bit, but I still think that they know that they're planning on him being great and some of the other pieces around him being much better. But that's a team that I could see really looking to play poorly for another season. I'd also say that like once the dust settles with the Damian Lillard situation, whatever happens there, the Portland Trailblazers don't project to be a very good team at all. So that would be a team like, again, they can be good, but maybe 2-3 years down the road. Like I do like Shaden Sharp. I do like Scoot Henderson. I do like some of the pieces that they have. But it's going to take a while. I mean, they have to assemble a bunch of stuff. And I guess in the meantime, they'll just rely on Jeremy Grant to eat up enough cap space where they don't have to worry about the floor. That's just not a well-assembled team right now, and it's going to take a while.
So one of the reasons why I asked that is because I think the common thought around the league and people that cover the league is, say, for instance, we'll take the Kings 48 wins as a 3 seed, and they'll say, oh, well, this year was just a crazy, weird year. 48 wins is not getting you 3 seed next year. I'm telling you, like, if you want to be the 3 seed, you got to get 53, 55, something like that. Like, it's going to be different. And you can help me out with this one. I don't think the math works out. Like, I don't think if San Antonio is the one team maybe getting below 22, and remember, San Antonio didn't want to do anything this year, and they got 22 wins. Same with Houston, got 22 wins. Where are the other wins coming from around the conference where somebody might get to 60 or high 50s? Like, I think it's going to be a lot more of the same as what we just saw last year as far as win totals and where the seedings are.
I mean, that might be possible, but I also think we could potentially see massive regression by like 4 or 5 teams. Like we got a lot of teams that have like put all their eggs in some very strange and brittle baskets, and so I think, again, like Phoenix is a team that everyone points to that could be like a championship contender. They also have no depth and could have a whole bunch of problems if injuries hit. I think the Golden State Warriors could have a regression season again. I think the Los Angeles Clippers could have a massive regression season. We got to stop looking at the Clippers as some scary team, because we've felt that way about them for like 2 or 3 years now. And every year they fall flat on their face. And so,
well, I don't think the way that team is built, though, it's built for a massive regression. Like, they've survived without Paul Pierce and Kawhi Leonard. They haven't won the title, but being a 30-win team or a 35-win team, I don't think is likely with that roster.
Yeah, but I mean, they were a 44-win team with Kawhi and with Paul George, like missing all kinds of games. And there's nothing that says that those guys aren't going to miss all kinds of games again. There's just nothing. So, like, I don't see a big boost out of a team like Minnesota. Again, like the Pelicans are hit and miss. They could clearly regress if they're stuck in the same exact situation, and they might, at some point have to part out some of that roster. I don't see some big jump from the Dallas Mavericks. I don't like most of what they did during the offseason. And I think that they're like sort of a rudderless ship at this point. So like maybe it will be tough to find another 5 to 7 wins for some team to jump up really high. But I mean, that could also be why, the Vegas odds makers have the Kings at like 43.5 wins, because they're looking at the same thing, that there isn't like a bunch of teams that should have like massive regression. But like some of these teams are very close to, like, once you get to a certain point and you don't think you can win 45, you could see teams start to like become 30 to 33 win teams so they can get better draft position and stuff like that. Like, I don't know what all of those, like all of the teams we're talking about that could have regression. I haven't looked at where all their picks are going and all that stuff, but there's certainly a point where, 1 or 2 of those teams could get to 20 games left in the season and go, okay, we're done. Like, we're not going to make any noise at all. And it's silly for us to sit here and fight when we have no chance. So let's just go ahead and take a back seat. And I think the play-in tournament kind of eliminates a little bit of that, but like it's something that's happened for decades in the NBA where teams, 20, 25, even 30 games left in the season, if they don't have a legitimate shot, they could pull the plug on what they're doing.
We should probably shift gears here for a minute. This is like happening as the show is going on.
Pretty interesting.
Did you guys get it? And I see you know what I'm referring to. Did you get a chance to read the league memo regarding Dame Lillard and Aaron Goodwin?
I didn't read it, but I did look at the. I did watch Sham's video on this, and I think it's really interesting.
So the memo in its entirety is out there. Our buddy Chris Haynes was he put the entire memo out there. The gist of it is, and it's pretty in depth. The league interviewed Dame and Aaron Goodwin about his stance of only wanting to play for the Heat. League officials told Lillard and Goodwin that any further comment about players that are forcing trades to a specific location is subject to potential discipline. Now, apparently, Aaron Goodwin denied that he told teams that Dame wanted to trade to the Heat. However, Aaron Goodwin told the Miami Herald, I do what I should for my clients. Some teams I did call, other teams have called me. It's a respectful relationship with most teams. Truthfully, he wants to play in Miami. Of course, I think it was Chris Haynes that reported recently that Aaron Goodwin was telling NBA teams, don't trade for Dame Lillard. Mm-hmm. You'll get an unhappy player. He only wants to play in Miami. And the league said, don't do that. Don't do that again, or there could be some discipline coming your way and some discipline coming the way of your client, Dame Lillard. I don't recall ever seeing anything like this before, James.
Where the league is, well, okay, so first of all, there are league rules in place that a player can quietly request a trade from the team, but they're not allowed to publicize that. That's part of the league rules.
Remember Rich Paul getting fined for that during the Anthony Davis situation.
Yeah. I'm not sure who's been fined and who hasn't in the past. I just know that like the integrity of the league is at stake here. Like we talked about this. This is not how it should be run at all. It's not how it should. If a team doesn't have enough to trade for a player, then like a player shouldn't like force that team, force the team they're playing for to accept less. Like Damian Lillard has made a tremendous amount of money as a basketball player. I haven't looked it up, but I'm going to guess he's probably made $250 million. And all of that has come from
I'm sorry.
Have we done Dame
I'm
before?
sorry.
Have we done it?
I don't know if we've ever done Dame before.
Oh,
you said the magic words, though. You said the magic words, James. Let's see what we got here. Hang on. Where are we? Career earnings for Dame Lillard. What was your number, James?
My number was 250.
That's 11 seasons. That's 11 seasons, not counting what's ahead. So
not counting. Okay.
There's 4 seasons ahead. So 11 seasons. James coming in at 250. Anybody else want in?
Highest year? What's the highest year?
Highest year. Well, it's going to be last year. 42 million. Dame Lillard, of course, was, as everyone in Sacramento knows, he was the number 6 overall pick in the 2012 2012 draft.
So we're only going off of what he made so far?
So we'll go off just so far.
Let me go. Kenny, you go first. You're still under 500.
James is at 250.
Shot.
It was a shot.
I'm going to say 315.
315.
Let me go 320.
Ladies and gentlemen, James Ham grabs his first victory of pocket watching. It's 233.
Oh my gosh, he's the poor guy.
It's
well. Just to feed his family.
Well, let's revisit this conversation in 4 years when that number balloons to 449.
Woo.
Yeah. And there's a player option in the 2026-27 season for $63 million.
Goodness gracious. Ladies and gentlemen, James Ham undefeated.
Congratulations.
In pocket watching. James didn't even know what happened when that music hit, but he was ready to go.
Amazing.
$250 million. Well done, James.
That music hits. It just gets you going, bro.
Oh.
I'm telling you. I was editing the podcast for later, and I'd stop what I was doing editing. I was like, no, we're playing pocket watches right now.
Pocket watching, baby.
That's amazing.
Behind-
It's a player option at $63 million.
Yep.
Oh,
Still, yeah, I mean, it's still poor man's land compared to Jalen's 69. Pause. His 69 million that he's doing his final year.
yeah.
I don't think that's a player option. I just think he getting it.
It's just one of them things. It sounds like well, it doesn't sound like a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but it's just one of them things. I mean, is it a lot of money to make that for a year, or is it a lot of money to be able to pay that to somebody? Right. And like not go in the poorhouse.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I can pay you $70 million a year and I'm gonna make $100 million this year.
Right.
Yeah.
It's part of the game.
If you're paying $70 million, you're making well over $100
You know what I
million.
mean? Yeah.
You're making well over.
So it's really
$100 million.
crazy.
Well, that, and we're talking about before any endorsement deal, anything else. I mean, that's a lot of money. So, like, look, I'm not going to feel bad for Dame, but what I do know is it's just not a good look because.
Well, we'll also point out Dame's not losing any of his money. Like,
no,
like
he's
Dame,
not losing any of his money.
I don't remember what number I just said. 449 or what no matter what team he plays for, that's going to be the number.
Yeah, it's just for me. It's really hard to fathom like pushing this button because you know that you're hurting the team that that's been really loyal to you and that you've been loyal to. And we can talk about like whether that's the case in every single situation or, guarantee money versus not, or they can just trade you at any time. But that's not this case. Like this franchise has been loyal to him through thick and thin. And to force their hand, it's okay to say you don't want to play there anymore. I'm not saying that. That's totally fine. What I'm saying is you can't like just completely wipe out your trade value, which is what they're trying to do. They're trying to wipe out his trade value and make it so only the Miami Heat can get him. And the Miami Heat don't have enough. And so it's really interesting because we're seeing like a very disruptive force trying to help one specific team and one specific player while hurting another specific player. So if I'm the commissioner, like you got to look long and hard at this. This is not a good situation at all for the league. It's fine that he doesn't want to play there anymore. It's not okay. Like, even if it's like, look, 5 teams, that's all I want to play for. And the other thing is Dame doesn't even have a no trade clause. So it's not like he can write his own ticket. It doesn't matter. The only thing he can do is hold out. And it's like, okay, hold out. You hold out, you don't get your money. And that's it. So yeah, it's a bad situation.
Do you think this is this type of stuff is happening because Dame is so high profile? Because you can't convince me that agents don't do this all the time.
It happens.
He's not, you don't want to come here.
Oh yeah.
So is it just because it's Dame that I'm not,
it might be because it's public. Like it's so public. Like that could play a part in it too.
But why is it public? Like, I don't think Aaron Goodwin did a podcast saying Dame's not going to come to Boston. It's a bunch of reports. Like, that's what's public. It's a bunch of like he said, she said.
Well,
third party
Goodwin
people.
was the one who said he. Well, no, you're right. It was a report that Aaron Goodwin was telling people.
Right.
Dame doesn't. He's not going to.
And I believe
he
said it. I believe he said, but it's not like you can quote him. Like, he was on Sports Center saying, "Nope, Dame's not coming here." It's no different than Chris Mannix.
And those teams, like if we're going with this hypothetical, we'll say Boston. Boston does have something to gain by saying public to Chris Haynes. Aaron Goodwin called and said, "Don't trade for him." And that moment is in front of us. It's the league stepping in.
Yeah. I mean, look, over the course of time, there have been plenty of trades that have been foiled because some player didn't want to go somewhere. Like, I mean, we've even heard rumor that either last year's trade deadline or the year before's trade deadline, the Kings had another deal worked out with someone else, and their agent very specifically said, "My player does not want to play for you," and would not go to Sacramento. Now, it's all out there somewhere in the mist. We have no idea who that player was. or who that agent was. But I can tell you very specifically, it was reported on in, this is going way back when Sam Amick was at the Sacramento Bee. He reported on the situation when the Kings traded Kevin Martin to the Houston Rockets. And as part of that deal, Tracy McGrady was supposed to land in Sacramento. And the Kings were told very specifically that they would trade Tracy McGrady to the New York Knicks. And the Kings were like, wait a sec, what are we talking about here? And said, that's it. The discussion's over. You're trading him to the Knicks. He is going to the Knicks. He's not going to Sacramento. And that's exactly what happened. Tracy McGrady was traded to the Knicks, and the Kings got Larry Hughes, who had broke his wrist or something and was out for the season and was at the end of an expiring contract and never even showed up in Sacramento, never played for the Kings once. And that was a very, very specifically reported deal where an agent said, this is what's my player is not going there. And so like these things have happened, and they've happened for a long time. It's just, you know, whether these situations continue to happen. And I'm sure they do. They happen all the, you know, like again, the Kings had a deal worked out for somebody not too long ago. The Kings have had players in the draft that will not come to Sacramento and are very specifically to work out. And the team is very specifically told, my player will not work out for you and do not draft him. He will not play for you. And so these things happen, just like how we had the Trace Jackson Davis situation during the draft. He wanted to go he thought he would go in the first round. When he didn't go in the first round, he wanted guaranteed money in the first couple of picks of the second round, and then tumbled because that word got out there that he would only play for a team that had guaranteed money, that was giving him an actual contract, not a two-way contract. And so he fell all the way to 56 or whatever, where the Warriors picked him, which of course just happens to magically be his agent is Mike Dunleavy's brother. Mike Dunleavy is a general manager for the Golden State Warriors. Okay. So these things happen all the time. Just like when Tyrese Halliburton was in the draft, he told his agent and his people, whether they fully admit to it now or not, that there were things put in place to force him to fall to a team like the Kings. Like there were a group of teams in front of the Kings that they did not feel was a good place for him to land, and they refused to give medicals to those teams. And of course, Halliburton had broken his wrist in his sophomore season at Iowa State. And if you didn't have his medical and you didn't know that he was okay, then there was going to be question marks. And so they refused to have interviews, and they refused to share medicals. And he fell number 12, which is literally about 5 or 6 spots below where he should have gone in that particular draft.
Tyrese forcing his way to the Kings. He really was a trailblazer, that kid. He really was a trailblazer.
When he says he wanted to be here,
I'm going to force my way to Sacramento. Not many can say that.
Yeah.
But the great Tyrese Halliburton can. All right. We'll talk more about this. There's, Jesse reminded us Dwayne Dedman was fined $50,000 for requesting a trade. I think that was in the Sac B article. There's more to talk about with Dane. Like, I think that, like, what now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's this? Like, what does this mean? What does this memo mean? What does this piece of news that we got here from the NBA today mean? We'll talk more about that with our 1320 Kings insider and creator of the Kings Beat, James Hammond, dealing with Casey. Brought to you by Sky River Casino. Rolls along here on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320. Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
He really did, too. Talking about throwing undergarments at R. Kelly. That man, Guru, funny.
What? What?
Yeah, Guru's had a day.
Is he going to stop by his prison cell somewhere and like see if he can get an
Like
interview with
Guru
him?
was talking, he might.
Wow.
He might. We have advised Goodwin and Lillard that any future comments made privately to teams or publicly suggesting Lillard will not fully perform the services called for under his player contract in the event of a trade will subject Lillard to discipline by the NBA.
You guys think this changes anything, or does he still end up in Miami one way or another?
Yeah, that's the conversation we got to have when we get back.
Yeah. I like Aaron Goodwin too. I've always liked Aaron. I think he's a good dude. I think he does right by his clients.
I think he was Yo's agent, if I remember correctly.
I'll tell you whose agent he was in my third season. He was Terrence Williams' agent. And Terrence Williams, of course, was the 10th pick in the draft by the Houston Rockets and was out of the league within like 3 years. Incredibly talented player, like great court vision, 6'6" with a 40+ vertical leap, like huge wingspan, such a great passer, like really bad shooter, but a great passer. And he signed 2 10-day contracts in Sacramento, and Aaron stayed here in Sacramento with him the whole entire 20 days to make sure that nothing went south. And that's just like, I gained a lot of respect for Aaron during that time, because Terrence, like, I found him to be very interesting to talk to. Like he would stonewall you and give you 1 and 2 word answers until you just stood there and just waited him out. And eventually, if he realized that you weren't going to leave, he'd actually talk to you. And he was very intriguing. He was like, he wasn't dumb at all. And he was just damaged. Like lots of bad things had happened to him in his life. And he grew up in Seattle area. And then once he left the Kings, I think he signed with the Boston Celtics, Sarah Jesse's team. And then during that offseason, he had an altercation with his former girlfriend who he had his son with, and a gun was brandished, and he ended up out of the league. And it was a custody battle over a not very young son for a 23-year-old. Like it was like I think it was a 12-year-old son. Yeah.
Oh my.
So, yeah. So like those things. Yeah. And so again, like lots of respect for Aaron, because I know he has his client's best interest. And I don't just mean like financially. Like I think he has his client's best interest overall. But this situation is weird and untenable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And bad for the league.
I know a couple people that know Aaron. Really good dude, according to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seems
Well,
like
and
I remember he was Yo's agent.
yeah, that's very possible.
Carrie was here this morning.
She was.
Oh,
Yeah, like early though, at like 7:30.
No, I'm just gonna see D-Lo and KC.
Yeah, she was doing one of Bailey's bits. Oh.
Who are we talking?
Where is it? Oh, did I? No, where is it? I asked for an interview. Oh, man, that'll be tough. I asked for an interview with Dwayne Wade, and they just sent the time that we could get it in Napa.
Oh. You can talk wine?
Jesse be holding on to stuff, man. He getting like you. He's spending too much time with you.
I'm telling you guys, when you guys have that Draymond Green lunch or whatever, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to sit down and say, hey, why did you do that to Paul Pierce? Once your answers, I'm just going to go home.
All right. Well, that's fine. That's fine. Fair enough.
I'm gonna just, I'm gonna keep professional with D Wade. I don't think I've said anything bad about D Wade though. I just said I don't trust him.
Well, I don't know that the timing for this interview is going to work, but shout out to the people at the Blue Note Jazz Festival for sending these. Like
he's going to be there.
Yeah, he's one. He's got a winery.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's got a winery, so he's here. He's here for the festival.
I will say this: D Wade be making moves, man. Doesn't he own? He owns one of the African teams in the African League.
Mm-hmm.
He owns one of those teams.
I think he's part owner of the Sky.
The Sky, that's the other one he just did. Yeah, that's right. He making moves, man.
Yeah. We got there's a memo that the league sent that's public out. It's public now regarding Dame Lillard and Aaron Goodwin. And there was a line I read during the commercial break that I'll read here on the radio. We have advised Goodwin and Lillard that any future comments made privately to teams or publicly suggesting that Lillard will not perform the services called for under his player contract in the event of a trade will subject Lillard to discipline by the NBA. We also have advised the Players Association that any similar comments by players or their agents will be subject to discipline moving forward. The most prevailing question, Jesse asked it, we were talking about it during the commercial break, it's come up in the chat. Well, what now? Like what does it, do we think that this changes anything? Does this open things up? Like, is there now like is the league open to acquire Dame Lillard, or are the Celtics back in the equation? Are the Knicks in the equation? Like could this work out some other way? Or ultimately, does Dame Lillard wind up with the Miami Heat or the Portland Trailblazers?
And I'm going to guess it's wide open. Like, I think that this does open it, because if Miami continues to pursue this, it's not like this is the first time Miami's like gone down this road, right? Like we can go back to like the Juwan Howard situation years ago, right? Where they got fined and had picks taken away. Was it part of the Joe Smith situation? Whatever it was, like I think it was the Juwan Howard situation, where they had tried to sign a bunch of players using like weird cap space rules. But yeah, I mean, like, look, a team like Miami, they're right there on the cusp, and they're trying to fight to get every advantage that they can. And but at the end of the day, like, you got to do what's right by the league. Like, the league has to step in here, and I don't have any problems with that at all. And I would have a difficult time seeing a deal continue to be pushed to get done when the rest of the league is going to be like, okay, look, we offered more. Like, what we offered was much more than what they got. And so this isn't right. This isn't, a level playing field.
Oh no, I don't like this. There's something about it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's I think part of and tell me if I'm wrong, because part of what I'm having, I can see everyone's point of view. Like, Dame's thinking, I've been loyal to Portland. I've watched 50 other superstars get traded exactly where they want to go. Okay, well, I want to now. Meanwhile, the league is like, hold up, you're doing it wrong. Like, then I think that's part of the problem is, yeah, you might be doing what everybody else is doing, but you're doing it wrong. Also, and this is, I know I keep harping on the same point because people will point to Anthony Davis, a few other players. You just don't have the leverage. We just went over this. You got like $200 million coming your way. 4 years, $200 million coming your way. You don't have the threat. Like, what even though Rich Paul got fined for saying this publicly, what he said was, yo, you could trade. Absolutely. Yo, Sacramento, you want to trade for Anthony Davis? Go ahead. He won't sign there. Like, I'm telling you that now. He's not going to sign there, but absolutely, you could trade for him. He's going to bust his ass for you the rest of the season and next season as well. And then he's going to leave and go play for the Los Angeles Lakers. What's Dame? Hey, you could trade for Dame if you want to. I mean, he'll work his ass off for you for 4 years, but then he's going to leave. Like, no team is going to care. There's no leverage there.
And the other thing about this that I keep thinking about, because we're all in agreement this stuff happens all the time. Like, once again, Aaron Goodwin, Dame Lillard, they're not doing any type of interview. They're not on the 3 o'clock Sports Center saying, I want to be traded. I only want to go to Miami. It sounds as though they had private conversations with teams, whether it's Portland or other teams, and they've said this to them, which is said all the time in this league. And then their whistleblowers or whatever went out and made it public and made this thing even more difficult than it already was. And that's just, I mean, that's the nature of the beast. Sometimes things are just unfair, but this is no different than what I think any of these guys have done. But now we got to have memos and, and everything's got to be on the up and up. I don't know. I'm just not really feeling it.
Okay, so let's go back to the infamous Vlade Divac quote. I had a better offer 2 days ago with DeMarcus Cousins, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And everyone was like, what in the world are you talking about? Why didn't you take it? Like, why did you even say that? And the way that played out was very specific. He had a better deal with the New Orleans Pelicans, the same team he was dealing with before. Vlade had worked out a deal to trade DeMarcus Cousins for the draft rights. Well, for a rookie, Buddy Hield, for who else was in that deal? I want to say, man, was Tyreek Evans in that deal coming back as cap filler?
Yeah, that's a good call.
I think he was. And then a first-round pick and a second-round pick. Well, originally it was 2 first-round picks. And when DeMarcus Cousins' agent caught wind of the trade, he went to the Pelicans and said, do not trade for him. And they're like, what do you mean? They said, he is not being traded. He is signing his $219 million extension. And the Pelicans are like, went back to the Kings and said, hey, they said he's not going to sign here. And so the way it went was that the Kings were able to get the deal done, but the 2 first-round picks became 1 first-round pick and a second-round pick. And of course, that the first-round pick ended up being the number 10 pick in the 2017 draft, which they traded for 15 and 20 and drafted Justin Jackson and Harry Giles. The second-round pick was an early second-round pick and was Frank Mason. But the Kings also got Buddy Hield in that transaction. And that's, again, it's about agents having enough power. And then it worked out that they didn't resign him either way. That the Pelicans were like, okay, well, yeah, we're okay. We're not going to sign. But the deal fell apart. And
well, he was hurt.
Yeah,
like let's be fair. Like, yeah, he was hurt. So
he was hurt.
Now, whether they would have or not is a fair question. But
they were not going to give him the extension because before he got hurt, they had the opportunity to give him the extension. They could have given him the same extension the Kings were offering because they traded for him. And then that summer, they didn't give him the extension. The next season is when he got hurt.
Yeah, I don't think everything was rosy there. They always painted it as if it was, and I don't think everything was rosy in New Orleans.
It wasn't. No. So my point is that, like, look, these things happen quite often where, you know, agents step in and try to do what's best for their clients. And in that situation, very specifically, like DeMarcus Cousins lost what, 170 or 180 million dollars over the course of his lifetime earnings because of that trade. If he would have stayed in Sacramento and signed the extension, his life would be completely different today. And so I understand him strong arming, but that is where the Vlade Divac's comment comes from. And he was trying to defend himself in that situation, saying, I had a better deal, but this is what happened. And the only thing that people heard was, you had a better deal 2 days ago.
Well, he didn't explain what happened.
No,
he said, I have a bet,
right.
and part of the reason was, and I've never asked you this before. Were you there? Were you there for that scrum?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was there for all of this
because it was the day after the All-Star game. So there were a lot of people, because DeMarcus was there, that weren't there. A lot of media people that weren't there. And
I wasn't in New Orleans where when the trade happened.
But what I meant was, were you with Vlade when he made that remark about, I had a better deal 2 days ago?
Yes, I'm almost positive I was with Vlade when he made that comment.
And there were only like a couple of reporters there, because like Jason Jones, some of the other guys, they were on their way back from New Orleans, and I had a better deal 2 days ago just lingered out there. It was, I don't think it was explained for weeks, and it wasn't explained by Vlade. It just started to leak out. Someone, I'm sure, probably James, talked to him like, what did you mean? And it became public. It was another draft pick. It was a deal with the Pelicans that just involved another first-round draft pick. But that day, he didn't say that. He said, I had a better deal 2 days ago. And I think he looked at Aleem Vilsan like, can you believe that? I had a better deal 2 days ago. The hell is he talking about?
Yeah, it was
talking about character matters and all that, and that was the stuff that pissed me off. Like, don't do that now. Don't do that now.
It definitely was a moment where there was some misunderstanding, and again, Vlade, being such a nice guy, was trying to be slightly like flippant and funny, but like he
was definitely trying to be funny. He was definitely trying to be funny, and Kings fans were like, "I'm sorry, what?"
Yeah, and it was like, well, you guys don't know the whole story. And it's like, okay, well, you're probably going to need to tell us the whole story. And then eventually we knew the whole story, and it got out there exactly what he meant. And there's nothing, the Kings could do about it. Like that ploy by the agent hurt the value of the Kings asset that was going out. And so, at the end of the day, I think that there were other deals out there that the Kings could have got involved in that may have got them more.
Yep.
But at that point, they understood that they had to do everything kind of in secret to get it done. I mean, like, look, the deal was done for his extension.
I strongly disagree with that. That was my biggest beef with it, is if you were going to do it, call everyone. Danny, you want DeMarcus? Who wants DeMarcus? Like, and whether fair or not, I wasn't there. The story was always someone wanted Buddy. I won't say who. I won't say who, but someone really wanted Buddy, and it was like,
because he's part Steph and part Clay.
I know nothing about that. I just know someone really wanted Buddy. I think the point in all of this, especially the part about DeMarcus and the Kings, is this happens all of the time. It's just really weird to see a memo issued out about it. So clearly the league is not feeling what's going on right now. And I don't know what that is. James, go ahead.
I'll add this too. Like, this particular trade deadline, free agency window, the teams were not allowed to mention the trade until we're not allowed to confirm or do anything with any of the extensions or trades or anything else until the moratorium was over. So that's why this particular offseason, we started having tweets that specifically said agents' names. All of those tweets, it said agents' names. And that is in my opinion, it's a huge mistake by the NBA, because now you're allowing the agents to control what is put out there, and the teams do not have the right to put what's out there. And a lot of teams like the Kings, they have their policy that they don't talk about financial terms, which is a lot of teams around the league have that. But then we go back to the situation with Rashawn Holmes, where like me and Shams and maybe one or two others got a very specific dollar figure that Rashawn Holmes was getting in free agency. And that dollar figure was like 53 or 55 million. And the only way for Rashawn Holmes to have got that money was if he was traded 3 times in the first 3 years of his transaction and got a 15% trade kicker every time he got traded. That's the only way that he would have got 55 million. If not, it was 47 million. So we were given a number that was incorrect. And in my defense and in some of the other reporters' defense, the way the Kings salary structure was at that time, they easily could have traded a player and given him that type of money, but they didn't. And so he signed on an early bird exception, not a standard contract, not a standard extension, because he wasn't eligible for a standard extension. So that number that we were given sounded right. It sounded like something that he could have gotten, but the real figure was 47 million. And so what I'm saying is, like, now the door is open for that. Now the door is open for, an agent come out and say that, the player X got this much money or this much money on an extension. And that money probably isn't true. It could be close, but we're talking about all the incentives and whether they're easily obtainable incentives or not easily obtainable incentives. Like, there's a big difference between a player's contract if you're saying he's going to get like 100 million versus 120, but in that 120, the bonuses are like $3-4 million like bonuses if he wins the NBA Finals or an MVP award. And those are non-obtainable goals, but they look really cool when an agent says how much his player just earned. And then the actual functionality is different.
I wonder if that's why we started to see the NFL numbers this year, like the Kuzma deal, which was reported at what, like 102?
Yeah, up to.
And it was 90?
Yeah.
Buddy deal was 80, 85. and with the ability to go up to like 110, but tons of non-obtainable goal, contract things.
Finals MVP.
Yeah. And the real number was closer to like 93, but like money is money. Like, what's he going to get? What is guaranteed?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
So the other thing I don't like that, and you guys tell me if I'm reading this wrong or I'm seeing something off, is this was not a public memo.
No.
If I'm reading this right, it's full NBA memo sent to all 30 teams regarding the rhetoric.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody gave it up.
Somebody gave it up.
This so they can have a better chance of getting a Dame Lillard.
Absolutely.
It's all this kind of. It's not like super dirty or fishy, but they play
the game.
They play in the same game Dame Lillard's playing. This is what I'm saying essentially, and they're trying to vilify and do. They're both playing a game, and this is the other team's move. They're sabotaging what he's trying to do, and he's trying to take hold of what he's trying to do. But at the same time, Dame Lillard's look at as some, oh man, you're foul. This is wrong that you're trying to do this, and you're trying to do this to Portland. Hell, Portland might have put this out.
Might have.
You know what I'm saying?
That's who should have put it out.
They're doing that. That shouldn't have came out. That was not to the public. That was to the 30 NBA teams. So no, they shouldn't have put it out. But don't nobody say if it does come out that Portland put it out, don't nobody say nothing about that.
The league could have leaked it too.
Could have.
I mean, but yeah, we have no idea who leaked it. I know who appears to have had it first.
Right.
So I don't know. Do with that whatever you want. But
the whole thing about it for me is this is a game, and Dame forcing his way to Miami specifically is his move in this game.
Mm-hmm.
It's not he's doing them wrong or no. That's his move in this game. Now Portland or whoever, Boston, whoever's they've made their move in this game. Their hands ain't clean. They're not just poor Portland, poor Boston, all this other stuff.
No one's hands are ever clean.
No,
these things.
They're making their moves. So when people come out here and they talk about Dame is foul and he's wrong for all this, Dame was playing the game and he's just trying to win the game, just like everybody else trying to win the game.
Yeah, I don't like at the end of the day, like I don't think this is going to tarnish Damian Lillard's legacy. It will slightly in Portland, but 5 years from now when it's all said and done and he's retired. Like they'll get over it and they'll retire his number. Like that's just the way that it goes. But for right now, it doesn't feel good to anybody. I think Doug Christie wasn't all that happy with the way he left the Sacramento Kings. I know Chris Webber wasn't happy about the way he left the Sacramento Kings. Like those are things that happen. And then you come back later.
We're happy with the way Chris Webber left the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry. Who's coming?
Like, what? Brian Skinner, Corliss Williamson, and Kenny Thomas.
Skinner. Oh,
there it is.
Apparently, we got a lifetime deal with Kenny Thomas too. Kenny came and stayed.
Brian Skinner blocked more shots after a foul was called than any player I've ever seen.
How you gotta do it, baby.
But they had value. That has.
Yeah, you're not getting no 3-point play around here.
Yeah, it has tremendous value, but he did that more than any player I've ever seen. And I've always wondered why players don't do it more. Like, big deal if foul was called. Go ahead and block the shot. That way he doesn't get a 3-point play.
Mm-hmm.
So
Brian Skinner.
You call foul.
Chris and AI.
I remember that too.
Yeah,
I think they lost. Was he there when they lost to Detroit in the second round?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I remember Chucky Atkins. The series was tied at 2. Chucky Atkins gets a layup in Game 5 to beat the Sixers. Damn.
Yeah, he had no knees left. That was unfortunate.
Brutal. And then he played. He ended in Detroit, right?
Mm-hmm.
He being Chris.
Weber.
Yeah, Chris ended.
Or did he
end
in Golden State?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
He played with the Warriors as well.
Yeah, he signed for like 5 minutes with the.
I don't remember those 5 minutes at all. I remember Detroit.
I think he went to Golden State before. Well, no, it's probably after Detroit. I take that back.
He went to Golden State. He played 9 games. He averaged 14 minutes a game.
Okay.
Started 8. 3.9 points.
Were they regular season games?
Yeah. As a 34-year-old, and that's something too. Like, that's one of the saddest. Like when he blew out his knee in Dallas, like the entire dynasty was over and no one knew it, right? And it was just such a gut-wrenching moment. And you look back now, there's one pivot point where the potential for a Kings dynasty ends, but no one at the time knew it. And even when he went in and he had microfracture surgery, you still didn't know it until like a year and a half down the road that thing was over.
Fair to argue it didn't actually end with that injury. It ended when they forced. Sorry, it didn't end with that injury. It ended when maybe he came back a little too soon from the injury.
I don't know. I don't think
that was the best team in basketball.
Yeah,
it was the best team in basketball. And then it was, let's get Chris back midway through the season and work him in, and they were a disaster.
The best team in basketball. I don't think they were going to win a championship without Chris Webber.
Well, I mean, I think that's why they brought him back.
Could you have bought Chris back differently?
Maybe.
It's all hindsight. Like, I get it.
But I agree with. I mean, when he's lying on Dallas, that was the end. That was the end. That was the franchise was never going to be the same.
Until
Plus, I don't like in theory, you could have brought him back differently, and functionality you could not. Like Chris Webber was the face of the team. He wanted to be the face of the team. The coaching staff still believed in him to be the face of the team. And you didn't know he was not going to be functional until at least like 5 games in. And you kept hoping that he would like get better, and it didn't happen.
What a cheerful,
Sorry about that.
What a cheerful Friday this has been. 3 o'clock hour started with Guru defending his love for R. Kelly, and it ends with Chris Webber lying on the floor in Dallas.
Oh no,
Jesus, man.
Oh no.
And I've told you guys this. That's the day my son was born, May 8th, 2003.
Man,
the Dallas day, the Dallas one.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Did
you watch that game in the hospital?
I did. I was sitting in a hospital room holding the baby, watching the game on a 13-inch television.
Oh wow,
big screen.
Yeah.
I watched Michigan beat the hell out of Ohio State in the hospital room this year.
Huh?
No one asked you. Literally, no one asked you.
No one
Jesse didn't ask you. James didn't ask you.
What was the score, Kenny?
So much to little.
That's what we're doing. Okay. No, that's fine. I mean, I guess you could do that stuff when you have a crooked coach who's negotiating his suspension with the NCAA. No, it's fine. Wait till a year passes and you find out you have to, what do they call it? Erase those Ohio State victories from his record.
Ouch.
Yeah, this is a crappy way to end the week, but that's fine. No, that's fine.
At least we're laughing.
That's right, Twitty. Go blue. Let's go, baby.
Head over to thekingsbeat.com, become a premium subscriber. Next week, the latest edition of the Off the Record Happy Hour. You do not want to miss those. Those are absolutely worth the price of the Kings Beat, in addition to the tremendous content that James puts up on that website and emails directly to you. So go to thekingsbeat.com, become a premium subscriber there. Check out the Kings Beat podcast, the D'Lo and KC podcast, wherever you get podcasts. For